this whole thing has been badly handled by the president. And I say badly, because this is a government of national unity, so it's a multi-party government. It's not an ANC-dominant government that we've had, before the GNU. That means, that some of the contentious policies which the ANC introduced when it was still the dominant party should have been brought to the GNU when it started to have a conversation and have a debate around, so the BELA law and also the NHI bill, because the opposition parties opposed that. It was the ANC versus all of the opposition parties. So if, majority demanded that the ANC take those controversial things that divided the parties beforehand and which was ANC policy, and now it is a multi-party government and not an ANC government, to take those contentious policies back to the drawing board. So that didn't happen, and that is why we are in this crisis now.
And some say that the president, when looking at the the signing of this particular the bill into law, he should have just implemented it in its entirety instead of saying that he's holding off on sections 4 and 5. Some say that this is what gave rise to the confusion, but others are saying that, as you say, he should have taken everybody on board, but not even rush to sign, but simply settle everything until they fleshed out all the different points. So should he have continued to sign, or did he need to wait and simply not just say don't implement the certain sections?
Yeah, so this is a self-inflicted crisis caused by the president because he signed it in haste. He should have taken it back, knowing full well that as a country, we knew during the election campaigns, the different opposition parties had a different view of this, and even many civil society organizations. So because it's so contested, and because it is a multi-party government, and I have to emphasize this, I think many people don't understand, the ANC didn't win, the ANC got below 40%, and is now part of a multi-party government, which means the president must consult on policy with all of the parties. It's not ANC policy anymore. So in the past, because the ANC was the dominant party, the ANC policies became the government policies. This is a multi-party government now, so the ANC policy is not the government policy. That now a policy needs to be negotiated. So it's absolutely self-inflicted. I think that the other difficulty right now is that, many ANC groups that are opposed to the GNU, they are politicizing the BELA Bill because, there are many ANC factions and groups and leaders who want the GNU to collapse, and they grabbing anything that they can use to break down the GNU. I'm just listening to the trade unions, the teacher trade unions. I mean, they are opposing the GNU with the DA and the IFP, and they're also opposing having a DA leader as an education minister. So that's, it's a politicization now of the BELA Bill. It's not based on its merits.
And when you look at what the minister had to say when she was clarifying this meeting with Trade Union Solidarity at Netflix, she says that she had no choice but to participate in this process because Trade Union Solidarity had launched a dispute, and this became a dispute process. It was initiated by the trade union. She says she attended in good faith because she needed to be part of this particular process. Then the deputy president as well last week urging all parties that signed the statement of intent to follow the official processes. You then have other spectators who are watching this matter who are saying that she was undermining the president, that's what she was seeking to do, the presidency, saying that there was no intention to undermine the presidency there. So this begs the question, was her approach to then go and be part of this process the correct one?
I don't see any problem with her approach as an outsider, looking at it, because, the crisis is already there, was created, and now we're in this mess. And, ANC opponents also, ANC groups that are opposed to the GNU want to use this, they see an opportunity, they see a space to drive a wedge between the GNU partners. I think what we now need to do, what the president now needs to do, is because we need wisdom and we need maturity. It's just to say, look, it hasn't been handled properly. or make mistakes. Let's reopen the negotiations. I mean, and I think it's just the two controversial issues which I think can be dealt with. I mean, the one, clause 4, I mean, you mentioned it before, clause 5. I mean, the one is, the government should have control over admissions policy school, and the other one is the government should have language, control over language policy. Now, the thing is there's a middle way, for example. The middle way could be that, the schools still decide on these things, but parents and children can appeal to government if they are, if they feel hard done by. So there are many ways of dealing practically with it. But the bigger issue is, which will still be a problem as the NHI bill laws also come into play in the future, is that contentious policies will have to be put aside. So contentious policies that came from the ANC prior to the GNU that the other opposition parties oppose will have to be brought to the table and negotiated. Obviously, there are many other policies that all parties agree with this, particularly policies that are constitutional, so that you don't need to renegotiate and rediscuss, but a contentious ones you need to do.
Prof, just before I let you go briefly, when you talk about the fact that right now, these particular policies, these are political parties that campaigned, as you say, with different positions when it comes to policies. Is there a possibility of them putting these policies aside and then being able to sit at the table and agree on a policy for the nation? And I ask this because these are political parties that are campaigning for 2026 now. So can they be able to do this without seemingly thinking they're risking their constituents?
I think they have to do it. It's for the sake of the country. I mean, to break down the GNU over this really would be very, very sad. To have what we now need is in the GNU and also outside the GNU, not necessarily only the GNU, but we need now political maturity. Everyone has to try to be bigger than their own constituencies and bigger than populism and so on, and not to be put around by populists who want to, who don't care about the GNU, who want to break down the GNU. Stay focused and come up in a mature way with a solution. Because, I mean, our country's education system is an absolute crisis. Is this the focus? Should this be the focus? To deal with the crisis of our education? I mean, last week, an international study, so we came last on maths and science. Shouldn't we deal with those sort of things? And the capacity in our schools, in our black schools, and our public schools is so bad. I think the GNU must decide where is the focus, the real priorities, and the real crisis, because fighting over this undermine the focus on dealing with the crisis in education.